So you guys can take it away.
Hello. I want to acknowledge and thank our track chair. Thank you. Welcome to the discussion on predicting future tech trends for an immersive, intelligent digital world through augmented reality, virtual reality, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. I am Kathy Grice, Senior Program Director with IEEE. IEEE is the world's largest technical professional organization dedicated to advancing technology for the benefit of humanity. My subject matter experts, Tom Coughlin from Coughlin Associates, Javika Ranawera from Oracle, and Nicholas Knapp from Xmark Labs will share their observations. Highlighting from Gartner's top 10 strategic technology trends for 2020 validates IEEE's focus. Digital transformation is fueled by advances in technology, such as AI, ML, quantum, and applications using copious amounts of continuously generated data. Adding AR, VR, and digital twins, the line between the physical world and the digital world will be increasingly less distinct, thus enabling an immersive, intelligent digital world. Applications are quickly emerging across the broad fields of education, manufacturing, medicine, entertainment, automotive, enabling the sharing of services, and much more. These all drive what we do today, as well as what may happen in the future. I'll turn it over to Tom for his insights and perspectives. Tom?
Thank you very much, Kathy. So we certainly are living in interesting times right now. And we've got all those technologies you talked about are coming to reality. And the interesting thing is, actually, many people I was inspired to get into technology by science fiction, is that we're turning more science fiction in fact. And some of the things that I think are really important things to discuss are that AR, VR, and these other technologies provide new ways of remote interactions between people. And this also leads to new challenges and new opportunities. For example, can we create, and this is both a hardware and a software problem, real eye contact? AR, VR, and the other technologies could assist healthcare workers at times like this by enabling hands-free, voice-activated access to data and interaction with medical equipment. It could be also used for research on health and other important science and engineering projects by providing 3D and other novel forms of data visualization, which perhaps can lead to new discoveries and help us to solve important problems. Also, and interesting at a time like this where we're kind of kept by isolated, there's a couple of other things that I think are interesting. We have the technologies today that we could create remote experiences. It could be done through robotic devices that allow us to virtually physically be somewhere, or perhaps even to be able to see and experience something through somebody else's eyes, maybe even new forms of entertainment, new forms of books or videos in a sense. And of course, AR and VR can provide more immersive entertainment and learning experiences as we're isolated from each other. We can get more involved in a game. We can perhaps get a real experience. Perhaps someday, and the technology is being worked on now, we can experience some form of the holodeck from Star Trek. Thank you, Kathy.
And on to Nick. Nick, please.
Yeah, so my particular focus of late has been on what I'd call fractional XR or XR Lite. You know, those of us that are in the industry, we get very hung up on specifications, things like field of view, graphical quality, and other technical issues. And we tend to be doing that at the expense of use cases. And I think there's an awful lot of interesting things that can be achieved with fractional AR, VR, and XR systems. You know, these are systems that don't have every feature that we're obsessing about, but still deliver many of the benefits, and they do it at much lower cost, and that's really important. So, for example, Bose frames deliver an audio-only AR experience. It just provides head tracking and audio, but that can be put to really good use in training and learning scenarios. especially if you combine it with other devices like a tablet or a smartwatch. Another personal favorite of mine is Tilt 5's AR gaming system, which you can see up in the top left of this slide. It's a very clever system that uses a retroreflective game board. So this is a physical game board that's placed on the table. And then each player wears glasses that have built-in projectors. And the light from those projectors is reflected by the board straight back to the player. So they only see their view of the game. But the bottom line is this is a low-cost multi-user AR system. And the trade-off is that the experience is limited to a tabletop. But in terms of pricing, when they ran their Kickstarter, a 3-player system was less than $900. So that's 1/10 the cost of a HoloLens per player. And there are many applications of AR, especially in business, for simulation and data viz that would really work very well in a tabletop setting in a boardroom. So I feel we have to stop unicorn hunting. We're continually waiting for this perfect device that does everything at a bargain price. And instead, we need to focus on deploying real solutions to real problems. And in the near term, I think the best way to do that is with fractional XR.
Thank you very much, Nick. And on to Chavika.
Hi. So I think there is no better time than now for all of us to understand the enormous potential of these technologies have to be a transformational technology to somewhat reorder how we live and change the way we interact with technology. So as we go through these challenging times with social distancing, lockdowns, and shelter in place, VR can certainly help all of us. For an example, there are people who still don't believe in these rules of social distancing. So if there's a VR application that would show these people a dangerous scenario associated with this virus and provide them with experiential knowledge of suffering patients, I think it would be most likely they would understand the gravity of the virus and somewhat help with like the not spreading the virus inadvertently. And now for the ones like us who are staying at home, and there are a lot of things who are we can use these technologies to enable a sense of normalcy to our lives. This can be done through things like virtual travel. We can easily collaborate with global teams without having to travel and meet physically. And also helping with eating disorders. I don't know about you guys, but I'm constantly snacking throughout the day, So if there's something that could hack our senses and to curb the appetite, that would really be beneficial for all of us while we go through this social distancing and shelter in place. And for children, immersive education would be very useful because not just reading and going through Zoom, if they could experience what they're reading, like in a real setup, it would be really helpful. And also help with mental health, because there are so many people who are socially active people. They could go into anxiety disorders and all depression and stuff like that. So if there is something that could help with these kind of disorders, anxiety, or even for PTSD, and people who are suffering from claustrophobia and depression, that would be really useful as we experience these kind of social scenarios right now and also in the future. And finally, virtual gatherings with loved ones, like we have families in shelter in place, but we cannot meet each other for a long time. So if there's a virtual gathering, that would be very useful as well. So these are a few things that I would like to highlight for this conference. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Chavika. That was very insightful.
Yeah.
What I'd like to do then is take advantage of Tom, Nick, and Chavika and pose a question to three of you. With COVID-19, today's world has been forever changed. How do you envision the use of immersive technologies to improve our health and safety, and equally important, our economic and social recovery. Javika, I'll start with you.
Hi, sorry, I was in. So I believe the gap between rich and the poor will widen further, I believe, because the rich and the privileged can gain access to these technologies long before the others get it. So there might be some social injustice happening. And that's something, the negative side I would believe, but positive side, there will a lot of things like athletes, they might be able to use VR applications to train themselves because they cannot go into any place, any gym or things like that. And education to improve learning is something. And another thing I think would happen is the healthcare. A lot of people would start using VR applications to diagnose, self-diagnosis. So there's a good thing and bad thing with this. Good is like they would be able to access these while staying at home. The bad thing is they may tend to self-diagnose and medicate themselves, so that could go into a slippery slope. So those are the things, good and bad things, I would believe that would happen with these scenarios.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Nick, what do you think?
Yeah, so there are three areas to touch on. One is mental health. Obviously, that's a huge issue at the moment, as Javika also mentioned. And VR has been demonstrated to be pretty good for generating empathy for people in different situations. So that's one potential avenue. But it's also excellent for escapism and relaxation. I recently tried out a virtual Tai Chi training app on the Oculus Quest, and it's incredibly well done. It's pretty effective. And the Oculus Quest, when you can find it in the store, is a relatively affordable device. The second area is just physical health. Obviously, we're all trapped in our homes at the moment. I'm seeing a lot of apps for VR headsets that are pretty good for health and are kind of fun, like Beat Saber, for example. But also you're seeing devices like the AR fitness systems that are built into full-length mirrors that you can mount on your wall of your home, and they'll provide sort of Peloton style an instructor and feedback. And then the third area is just the health of the economy. Clearly XR has tremendous potential both for education and for training, and those are areas that it can be really, really helpful, and we're going to need that to rebuild the economy.
Very cool, Nick. Thank you. And Tom, I hope people saw that you are a Star Trek fan, a Trekkie. I really would welcome your thoughts to my question.
Sure. Well, I think, first of all, if we did not have the networking and telecommunication technologies we have today, it would be very difficult for anyone to do any work during this period. So technology is what's been enabling the economy that we have. There's a lot of people out of work, but those that are working, a lot of it's because of the technology that's available to us. These new technologies will enable more ways for people to be able to work in new ways. And in fact, one of the things about, if this is an extended experience, which it is becoming, it will lead us to find the problems with the current ways we interact with each other with our networking technology, hopefully to fix those and make those better. But it also, a couple of the others before mentioned that there's a divide there, and that is between those who have the access to the technology and those that don't. And I think it's going to be one of the biggest things that need to be dealt with is greater access to technology, so that more and more people can use these means to work and get other things done. And maybe one of the keys is, can we do more stuff on our phones, which almost everybody has, even poor people who don't have electricity. Yes. And so I think that we're getting I think it's going to lead to a greater awareness of using new ways of experiencing the world around us. It will, I think, spur development in these areas and get people more comfortable in doing that. but I think it also will point out the defects in our current technology, areas in which we need to work on to make them better, and I think spur ever more development to get this network and connectivity and these tools in the hands of more people, so that everyone can participate in a viable economy, even in conditions like this.
Thank you so much, Tom. Hopefully in today's world, we'll leverage all the current technologies to make for a better world. Thank you for your participation in our session. I hope what we touched on encourages you to ask questions and provide comment. Thank you very much.
So hi, thank you for that. It's pretty fascinating how we watch VR and AR kind of progress to actually start having some significant impacts, to society as a whole. There were some questions that popped up that I'll share with you, and it's really around 5G and VR, and what are the implications for VR when we start thinking about 5G. A lot of folks have commented, I'm always at home or in an office setting. What will 5G bring to VR and providing content, maybe outside of the office or outside of home?
Tom, you want to give that one a shot?
You bet. So 5G, of course, is a much faster cellular network technology. It requires a fair amount of infrastructure to make it possible, especially in the local neighborhoods. Really going to get the advantages from it. But I think it enables higher resolution remote interactions, and so it makes the things we're talking about, which could include virtual reality and augmented reality technology, much more easy to implement, and have a bigger impact on the way in which we can interact with our world in the current situation, but even in the normal situation where we can physically interact with each other. But even now, I think it allows us ways in which we could deal with each other in some semblance the way for future pandemics, things of that sort, the way we would in ordinary life. Not totally the same, but at least approaching that. Yeah,
interesting. And so this one actually is from me. There was an article and some reporting done on the use of VR for pain management for patients who are undergoing some pretty severe treatments. And I think it focused around some soldiers who were going through some, kind of extremely painful treatments, whether it was burns or other things. And they were using VR in this type of like ping pong game. I just wondered if you guys had any thoughts on that, because it was pretty remarkable to watch someone go through an extremely painful treatment, and this particular person, was using virtual reality during that treatment, and when the treatment stopped, he did not even know that it happened. Just wondering if any of you were aware of that or had some thoughts around that.
Yes, for IEEE, we're working on an initiative that is called the BRAIN Initiative. It focuses on biomedical neuroscience, neurotechnology. What it does is it enables one to wear virtual reality, even augmented reality equipment, and in particular, it helps essentially what you said, pain management. Additionally, what we've looked at, establishing areas of standards, actual ethical implications as well. But what we found is it really has helped improve patients, faster recovery, and long-term recovery in terms of accelerating that whole path. In particular, not just pain management, but also people that have had brain injuries as well. And we've benefited from the VR and AR technology. I don't know if Javika, you want to comment? No? Okay. Nick?
Sure. Yeah, I think it's a really interesting area. You know, I saw a talk by Dr. Poppy Crum from Dolby last year, I think it was, at another IEEE conference. And she was saying how in the world of audio, they're so far past just whether it sounds good or not, and everything is about human perception and increasingly, you know, cognitive science and how your brain actually processes signals. And I think very quickly in the world of XR, so VR and AR, we are going to move into the era where it really does become around, you know, the tricks that you can play on the brain in order to drive an effect, rather than necessarily trying to drive that actual effect in some sort of physically tangible way. So yes, I think the whole cognitive science aspect of XR is massively underexplored, and I think it's going to be a huge growth area.
Yeah, I also think like
I agree. Well,
because it's. I was just going to say, because the advantages are so immense, like there's a high chance that even the health insurance will be start covering all the treatment done by VR therapy, I guess, or even augmented reality therapy, because the benefits are so immense for any sector that we are socially needed, like anything that we need in the society. So.
And Tom, do you want to end on from a consumer perspective?
I'm sorry, yep, go ahead.
Tom, did you want to comment from a consumer perspective?
Yeah, well, the big trick, of course, is getting the cost of really good XR technology that consumers can have, you know. So right now we're talking about something that's probably in a clinical setting. They can afford to buy the best equipment possible. Actually, I was amazed that effectively VR was acting like an antiseptic. I mean, sorry, like a you know, like knocking somebody out, or they don't feel the pain. I was amazed by that. So the real key, of course, is getting the cost down of these technologies so they can have a much broader use, especially at the level of resolution, at the level of potential impact they can have on people, that would be able to enable those kind of experiences, even perhaps in the medical case for home treatments of some sort.
Yeah. Yeah, if I could just
thank you guys. I apologize. I ran a little bit over. It's selfishly, I'm fascinated by watching VR and AR and XR actually make a difference in people's lives, and I appreciate what you guys are doing and appreciate your time here. It was a great talk. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity.
You bet. You're welcome.